Hey, it's Keith. What's up? So I'm here to report to you about my returning and reincorporating myself back into samsara, back into the matrix after doing my fifth Vipassana course, which is 4 10-day courses that I've done and one Satipatthana. And maybe in this video I'll get into the distinction between those two. So this was the first course that the center has had since they shut down from COVID, and it was invite only and very special invite to like more serious old students that are current practitioners, meaning there's a lot of old people. Old by old, if you're a new student if you haven't gone at all, and as soon as you've completed your first course you're an old student in their eyes. So this is more people that have a lifestyle of going to 1 or 2 courses a year and are serving and are taking care of the center, because the centers are all in the SN Goenka style, are all donation, are all volunteer, and then all of that is sort of managed from center to center by long-term servers. Occasionally you'll come across centers that have people that maybe get a stipend, that have more focused jobs, and some centers is like that. Yep, because just has to be that way because you need people with specific skills. But so it was pretty powerful for me. I had just come off of living at the same center, Southern California Vipassana Center, which is in 29 Palms, Dhamma Vedana. I had been living there for 7 months, and I was there when it got shut down, and I was, because of COVID, and then I was there for another 3 months until basically the work that they needed me to do, which I was there helping them construct their new parking lot. That center is relatively new, in the sense of that they actually, since they're associated with LA, they've kind of acquired a lot of money very quickly, and they're very packed all the time, so it's a little bit difficult to get into SCVC as compared to some of the other centers on the West Coast, which would be the one in Alaska, the one in Kelseyville, and then the one in CVC in Central California, which CVC, which is the second center that was ever in North America. The first one being in Massachusetts, Dara. Yep. And so I think there's about 30-ish centers in North America, and there's probably nearing about 400 around the world. And again, these are all free. And so you sign up for a course sometime in advance, depending. Dhamma Vedana, SCVC, my home center, the one I go to, 3 months on the nose, and you need to be in there registering like when it opens at 7 o'clock on the time, or you're not getting in, because it's very busy. And so this center, because it has a lot of high profile people from LA there, has a lot of money. And so they're very quickly expanding there, and it's going to be a big, one of the biggest centers in the world, probably nicest. So I help them with, my family business background is in grading construction, and so I just donated my time for 7 months, and it was an amazing fury of learning for me, of like having kind of a sort of monk's life, which is why I like the Vipassana, which if I'll just give you a little background, they sort of in this binary way separate people in 2 ways of that practice Buddhist meditation: a householder, monk or nun. And so I'm some in-between thing, because I'm a householder, but I've like kind of wound up setting myself up with family trust, with retiring early, etc., where I'm not necessarily I'm gray area, and I want to be that way, because for me, going to a monastery, which I'm interested in that lifestyle of having a very focused, steady life, I'm into that. But the Vipassana world allows you, as long as you play by the rules, and they're just rules because they take people from anywhere. So there has to be a baseline of stuff. You go there, you eat what I call low-level vegetarian food, which sometimes I do, and sometimes I do other things that are maybe a little gray, or like, fasting one day or something. We'll talk about that later. That's not important. So, but this fury of great energy with, just like I said, I can't remember. There's only 12 of us males that were like invited, and 3 females, and then they're going to do a female-based course starting today. And so the energy was amazing. So this is an interesting thing that you can. I mean, I don't know if everybody feels this, because, when I go to Sedona and my spiritual friends go to Sedona, we're like, whoa, do you feel the energy? So maybe if somebody's shut down, they're not going to feel that, because I've heard, like, my friend who's really spiritual, she said her husband, who's the total, like, matrix, muggle, whatever you want to call it, yeah, that her husband went and he's like, I don't feel anything. So anyways, if you're open, you go to a center, you feel this energy, you're pulled in. And even with us being first back after the center being closed for so long, to kind of reestablish the energy there, because it's powerful. As soon as you get on campus, you feel it. Yeah. And, but I mean, just from your own point of view, I'm sure you've been to a group meditation and you notice the difference right away. When you meditate with people, as opposed to yourself, there's a little bit more of a gravitational pull to a good focused meditation. And that gravitational vortex thing is exactly what I want to talk about with what happened here. So my 2 friends, John and Dan, were invited, and a couple of other like high profile sort of Vipassana superheroes, I call them, were there. And yeah, and it was just, the course was completely amazing, and I love the practice for all the reasons. I mean, it just fits in so wonderfully. I use it, I mean, the way I say I use it in Buddhism, and again, they don't call it Buddhism. This is very non-sectarian, but it is Buddhism. But it's more about the practice, because there's a lot of people that like Buddhism, but it's just an intellectual thing. It's just an intellectual game, maybe you could call it, or whatever, which is not so important to me about getting results, and about like I've just had my journey with Vipassana. Maybe I don't think I want to talk about it here. I've talked about it a little bit, but I left my first course, and there's just a lot of reasons, because my cup was kind of full. I wasn't open to what was going on, and I was going there and being in that world. You go and you surrender your cell phone, and you're quiet for 10 days. Noble silence. You're totally silent. You don't talk to anybody, and in fact, you go to great best you can to ignore everybody, and everybody ignores you, and you come into a room and you meditate 8 to 10 hours a day, or more if you choose to like meditate during your rest periods. Or there's 3 mandatory sits when you go there, and you could just do those, and you could fiddle around in your room the rest of the time if it's too intense, which they don't tell you to do that, but they're not monitoring you. You're only required to go to the 3 group sits. And then as you go along, you get, I think this was the first time it was really easy for me to go to every single sit. So it gets intense, where all that stuff comes up in you, right? It's what it's all about. It's letting go of all that dirt, and that stuff. That's what the word psychosomatic, of when something goes wrong with you physically, and they can't find out what's wrong. That's what's called a sankhara in these teachings, which is just a sort of a misery or a perversion in your energetic field. And I can relate all of this to the book that I've been talking about, and I'm going to talk about a little bit more. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is a sort of scientific, and don't get me, I'm not presenting anything wrong. This teaching, as it is taught in North America, is totally taught from the point of view of that this is scientifically proven, of where we're energy, everything is energy, everything we see, everything is just consciousness. And that's I'm not going to get too much into that, of just the quantum field, the whole all of that stuff. We're just more dense energy, and then, is everything even here? It's all just like consciousness, right? So as you go along and you're like sort of reborn into lives, you drag in some of that, or all of it, depending on what you let go of. So once you get into this practice and you stick with it, because there's lots of people who do Vipassana and it's like one and done. But I'm telling you, from my point of view, I had done some of the protocol of breaking the habit of being yourself and broke a lot of ground, doing shadow work and stuff like that. But compared to the perfection of isolationism that you get with doing a course at a center where you turn your phone in, where you're not distracted by anything, where you are meditating for 10 days and you carry on with that practice, meaning of like doing 1 or 2 courses a year, starting to serve. Serving is being somebody that works in the kitchen, that feeds meditators and sort of takes care of the campus. Like I said, everything is volunteer, everything is donation, the way these centers work around the world in the Ascend Goenka tradition. So, once you just keep practicing, I almost lost my train of thought. Once you start practicing, your life is forever changed. Of the sort of a lot of karmic stuff. Although this year, 2020, is totally different from everything, the whole written human history, okay? But there's just a lot of repetition of where people are just doing the same thing over and over, and doing Vipassana and doing it diligently with where you're learning the practice, basically right out the door, you start doing a daily practice, which is 2 one-hour sits, doing mostly Vipassana, which is body scanning. You can do a little bit of Anapana, which focuses the mind. Anapana is just the breath as it is, without forcing it. Forcing it or trying to control it, that's pranayama. Anapana is just the breath as it is, of where you're just being aware of it, feeling it here, and you just try to not think about anything else other than the quality of the breath and feeling the breath in this area right here. And that focuses your mind. And then you switch over to Vipassana, which is body scanning, mindfully body scanning, with, again, trying to clear your thoughts, keeping your thoughts zeroed out, paying attention to the sensations as you scan from head to toe, from toe to head, equanimously, staying with it, and just being aware of sensations. And that's where you're basically bringing your attention to these energetic imperfections called sankharas, and they release, and then all of a sudden you're sort of metaphysically, magically, you're just energetically cleaning your field out, and all of a sudden you become the real you. And so I'm down the road a bit now with I'm setting my sights on doing a 20-day next year. And so I think that's all I really want to talk about at this time. I want to tell you that lots of stuff coming up. Links in the drop down. Support me by supporting my music. If you want to contact me, probably the best way to do that is on Instagram or Messenger. I'll put, I'm at Dhamma, DHAMMA dude 424 on Instagram, and I am Live Rockstar, or Keith, spelled with the Keith McGrew. Lots of spellings of my names, so maybe someday we'll talk about that, maybe not. What else? Oh, I didn't realize with a bunch of you have been supporting my I've got a lot of buys on my Bandcamp page, and my Bandcamp page is linked down below. And then also I'm going to link a bunch of my videos that's on YouTube, because I haven't talked about that in a long time. There's a lot of stuff over the years of all my stuff, second culture stuff, and I'm just getting it together, and we're going to have some more videos. And if you've gotten this far, there's a mysterious video that's going to come up, which I forgot to make public a long time ago. And it's Keyth, bright blessings, namaste, metta, everything virtuous that could possibly happen. And I wish you plenty of guidance as we move forward into our own infinite, expanding universe.